Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So we have a graph here, and what I want is to adjust some of these things a little bit. Let me reduce the font size just a touch. So I'm going to go to especially the Y text values. So font size, let's put that at 16. Let me see how well that works. Okay, that's much better. Let me reduce the font size on this one as well to 16. And that's better. Okay, pretty good. Now let's see if we reduce the content of this thing, if it's going to adjust accordingly, because that's important. So at the bottom here, I want to remove this stuff. So my SVG is complete here. So if I remove July to December, what happens? Let's refresh, and there we go. So we start getting some errors over here. So these are things we need to fix, but however, this graph looks okay. It's just these numbering things that don't work very well. Let's try the opposite. Let me undo this. Let's try and duplicate these values. Oh, unfortunately, I really can't, because it will just, unless I change the keys, it will just replace the keys, right? Let's see what happens in a situation like this. Okay, so the other way around is much better. As you can see, the graph just responds accordingly and without problems. Yes, yes. So in the opposite direction, it works better. When the numbers are less, it doesn't work so good. But let's undo all this and let's try to figure out what's going on. So what I'll do is from here, I will silence these guys. Okay, that way we see how we deal with less values. So let's look at where our errors are. So it says uncaught error division by 0, because in mathematics you can't really divide by 0. It's not that the answer is 0, the answer is undefined. It's just impossible to divide by 0. So what we want to see here is look at where the problem is. So 229, that's where the issue is. So where is 229? Line 229, right there. Okay, so saying we are dividing by 0. So total lines is 0, right? Okay, so what we can do at this point is just to avoid dividing by 0. We can just do this and say total lines let's see, total lines is equal to total lines 1. Let's see if that solves the problem. Does it? No, it doesn't. Okay, so this only works for no, not 0. Anyway, what I'm trying to do is put an if statement. So let's use this version. So I'll say if this is not a 0, if it's just okay, then assign it to itself. If it's false, then say revert to 1 instead. Okay, so that solves that problem. So what I've just told it is, if it's a 0, change it to a 1. That's all. If it's any other value, just keep that value. So it's a simple if statement, if else statement. So I need to know what's going on here. Why do we have these lines that are weird, but everything else seems fine? So this Y thing, I didn't really calculate this very well, did I? So one way to solve this problem of this calculation is to put a fixed value amount, just get 10% of the total value and then use that as the number of lines that we're going to put here. So let's go to that situation where we are putting lines and just get 10% of the total value and just use that. I think that would help to simplify things. So what I would do is, let's go to where the left to right lines are. So max lines should be, here we have max y, but then we are dividing it by multiplier y. How are we getting multiplier y anyway? Multiplier y is canvas divided by max y, which is divided by 100. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Instead, let's divide the maximum by 10% of itself. So I'm just going to say max y. So we want to get 10% of max y. That's how do we get 10% of a value? Oopsie. Uh-oh. Wrong click right there. So I get confused with these things. If I want to get 10% of 100, it would be 10 divided by 100 times 100. Exactly. Yeah, which is 10. Okay, good. So that's 10 divided by 100 multiplied by that number. Oh wait, no. We're supposed to multiply by 100. Wait, what did I do here? So it's 10%, 10 divided by 100 of 100. Okay, what if 10% of 200? Okay, great. So max y should be here. Right, then let's put all this into a single bracket so that we divide by 10%, and here in a bracket. So what I'm just saying is get 10% of max y and then divide that by max y. So usually, since max y is 100, we should get 10. So we're just going to get 10 of these guys, and that's it. So let's see how well that works. Okay, so we got 10 of these. That's cool. But then we need to know how much one unit is. So maximum lines is 10, but how big is a unit? Since it's 10%, how big is a unit? That's what we need to know, so that we multiply the y by that unit. So y max lines is 10. So we are looping by that number, but what is 10%? Yeah, we need that 10%. Okay, so let me just do this. Let me create a value so we can store it. 10%. 10% is equal to that. Let's put that there. And then let's subtract by 10%. Like that, okay? Then we'll put our 10% here. We're multiplying by 10%. And that should solve the problem. Oopsie. That went the other direction. What's going on here? There's a value missing here somehow. Okay, so let's see. Let me copy this and put it on my text. That's what I'll be using to echo. Let me put that, where do I put it? On one of these lines. Yeah, I'll put it on this. I just want to see what maximum line number is. So it's correct, it's 10, okay? And 10 lines. So if we get 10%, it means we'll always get 10 lines, right? At the end of the day. Because 10% of 200 is 20, then we should get 10 lines as well. Yeah, that's weird. So which means now let me undo that. Sorry about that. Let's come down here. So sorry I didn't calculate this in advance. I just wanted us to brainstorm together so you see the thought process that goes into this. So I have that 10%, which means this thing will loop. Oh, okay. So that's where the problem is. Max lines. Oh no, that's not the problem. Maximum lines is 10 as well. Let me equate so I can make sure. Yeah, maximum line is 10. Okay, so where is the problem here? So 10% is 10. 1 times 10, that's 10 pixels. So it doesn't look like 10 pixels, but maybe it is 10 pixels. Okay, so that's 1 times 10. It means we need to multiply it with something else here. Okay, so let's try. Let's see here, 10%. What we do is, let's go to plan B. You know, let me do this. What we can do instead is this. We can use, because the real problem here is that we don't know how many lines to put on the y-axis like this. These lines that go this way. This way, it's very obvious because we just follow the amount of data that we have. Okay, so to put these lines, we just put one line on each data point. But this way, if we do that, we're going to have a line here and there and there and there and there, which is not going to be nice because we want the graph to look more graphy, which is more uniform lines instead of just random lines like that. So maybe what we can do is instead, we count how many items are here in the x-axis. And then we use that value to know how many lines to put here. Maybe we can multiply it by 2 so that the lines in this way are twice the number than they are here. Or simply, we can use the same number. So let's try and use the same number here by just counting the number of items in data. So I'm just going to remove this here for now. So we are back to the drawing board here. Pardon me for wasting your time there. So maximum number of lines, we're going to use a count instead. So let's say count data. So this will give us a number of items inside our data. This one right here. So the amount of data, that's the maximum lines. So here, I will do this. Now to know, since the data points here are, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So the maximum is 100 value here, and then here there's 0, right? So if we're going to have 6 lines here only, then we need to know how to space them. What is the space between each line? So that will, to determine that, we're just going to divide the maximum value divide by the number of lines. So the maximum value is, let's say here, the maximum value is max y, okay? So we divide that by 100, that's what each segment will be. So here, segment is equal to, I'm going to call this one y segment. Hopefully I haven't used this variable already, which doesn't look like. So y segment is going to be equal to max lines. So we divide the max y value, divide that by that. Now we can't have a decimal point here, so we'll use the round value to round it off. Okay. And And instead of rounding off, maybe we should use the floor. So what floor does is there's three ways to round things. You can use round, which will round off. Now rounding off happens like this. If you have 5.1, this will be reduced to 5.0. If you have 5.5, this will be rounded off to 6. So once you pass the midpoint, you go to the other side. But then there's floor and there's ceiling. So there's ceiling like this. This one will always round up. So even if you have 2.1, it will always round up to 3. Even if you have 2.5, that will be rounded off to 3. But then there's floor, which even if you have 2.8, it will be rounded down to the lower value. So that's what I want in this case. I want to lower value, maybe. I don't know. Let's try round and see how that works. Then we can use either ceiling or floor in our situation. So the y segment is the distance between two y lines. So that's what I want to add here. Multiply that and let's remove this. So let's see how those lines fare now. Okay, so we have a good number of lines here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But still a y segment isn't that big, which is weird. So let's look at this. Max y is, let's see here, is 100. Okay, and oh, actually we should have taken the canvas into not max y, the canvas. Wait a minute. Yes, that's the maximum value there, but this distance to here is the canvas. Okay, so what do? We have to multiply that with the canvas somehow. Let's see. Yeah, instead of 100, we use the canvas to divide that by 6. I think that was a correct calculation. Okay, that's better. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very good. So at least we have that. Even when we remove these guys, let's try that and that. We should have a clean slate. Okay, that's much better. I kind of like this version better. Okay, so let's close those again and let's deal with the numbers now. So now that we have left to right numbers doing very well, we don't need these total lines anymore because we can use, what can we use? Max lines here. Yeah, so let's remove that. It's not needed anymore. Okay, still working. It's the numbers that have a problem now. So let's look at how to fix that. Now let's go down here. Numbers, where are the numbers? There we go. Okay, so the max lines here is, this is the loop itself. So this is the content that we want. Where is this? Okay, I want to copy this up to there, just that, and let me put that here, replace that. I still need that num, so I'll move it up and remove this. Okay, so the x is canvas x, that's fine. But y, what do we do here? Y, one segment, so I'll put that one segment there. I don't think we'll need this, but let's leave it there. And total lines is max lines in this case. We definitely don't need this either. Do we? Let me replace this with max lines anyway. Let's see what that does. Okay, so division by 0 again. Why? Oh, because I didn't change it here. Sorry about that. Okay, much better. Okay, but this starts at 70, so why it should start? It's supposed to start at 1. Oh no, it's not supposed to start at 100. This is correct because we removed the part that has 100. 70 is the max here. Okay, so refresh. Okay, so it took us a while to get to the actual value, but at least we are there. Now you see the value down here has reduced. These are the problems that we end up having. The reason that has reduced is, like I had said earlier, the extra is 100 here. So it's a fixed value. Sometimes that 100 becomes small, sometimes it becomes big. So instead, the extra x actually is okay. The extra y is the one with the problem. So maybe let's try and put a fixed value. Okay, that was way too big. Let's try 50. Okay, I think that looks fine. Okay, so let's remove these values here. And let's refresh. And there we go. So it looks like it's working better now. Let's even try to multiply these values. Imagine a situation where we have more values than this. And let's refresh. There we go. So pretty good. Let's reduce it even further to maybe just 3 items so that we know we don't get any errors. And there we go. Okay, pretty cool, right? Our graph is functional now. That's very nice. Okay, so let me undo till I have what I need up to there. Very nice. So in case for some reason you missed the code somehow, I'm just going to scroll down from here to the bottom so that you can copy it nicely. You can pause the video just to compare with your own code and see where there may be issues. Okay. Just so you have the same code as I do, because this process was quite complex, a lot of deleting and repetition, and that's because I went into this without rehearsing the whole thing. I don't want to rehearse because I want to do this in real time. Okay, so zoom out just in case. And there. Okay, so in the next video, let's create a class out of this so that we can just feed it some data and then we forget about it.